Then months pass, the announcements get posted, the talent schedule gets released, and you see you aren't there, and those in charge have stopped replying to your messages. It's the big downside of being a contractor. You're paid for each weekend you work, and that's it. You'll be told you have job security, of course, and you absolutely do, until Papa Riot decides you don't. As much as working the LEC is a prestigious honor and a great experience, this is the sad reality of being talent there. Esports is competitive and cutthroat, but bruh, you can't ghost people when you hold their literal livelihoods in their hands. It's simply unacceptable. Sorry for the long rant. It was frustrating enough when it happened to me, but it was a long time ago, and I had things to fall back on. But I'm still hearing about this kind of thing happening, and it's not on. I'm still hearing about this thing happening, and it's not on. I just wanted not okay, I assume. I just want Riot to approach these decisions with more humanity. Monte Cristo responds, I was announced as a caster for Worlds one year without being told, and with no contract offer. I was then told I should work an entire Worlds for exposure, and they tried to lie to me that my contract with OGN, an entirely different company than Riot, should include Worlds. Ryan Central responds to Foxtrot. For those that ask me why I'm not doing EMEA anymore, this is exactly what happened to me too. You can't ghost people when you hold their literal livelihoods in your hands. It's unacceptable. It's simply unacceptable. Is incredibly true though. It was disappointing to be treated so badly. Foxtrot also tweeted this, having a lot of people, even from other Riot titles, also messaged me about their experience with this. One was a mainstay for almost half a decade and still got this treatment. Insane. Damn, work for exposure. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I assume what it is that Riot has these people, like, the reason that they are not telling casters, the reason why they're ghosting casters is they're trying to assemble the talent, and they're just doing it in, like, the scummiest way possible, and they want to be able to fall back on whoever. Like, somebody like Foxtrot is just not considered in the, like, main S tier, right? So, like, if you went for Riot casters for LEC, it's like, okay, you want Medic, you want Vedius, you want, like, Cage Roll at that time, you want to have, like now like Hysterics, Dagda, like these guys are going to be in that tier. And then there's going to be like the other people like Aragon that are expendable. Dracos is also in the S tier, obviously. Just trying to do it off the top of my head. And then what they do is they're like, okay, can we sign all these guys in negotiating contracts? Once they have those guys locked in, then they're like, okay, we'll just announce it and like the other guys. The reason why they keep them on is just in case people like, for example, Quickshot at the time as well, end up not wanting to do it, because there is always long contract issues with even the main casters and the people that do hosting, etc. We saw the thing with Shox where she didn't start the LEC. I think it was like 2 years ago or 1 year ago or something, where she didn't start the LEC because she was still in contract negotiations with the LEC. And this is a problem for most talent because of the fact that Riot notoriously pays under what the market rate is for casting talent.
All right, let's see what we got for
Hallo Leute und willkommen bei Ponyhof. Schön,
hey,
dass er wieder eingeschaltet hat. Sich wohl voll daneben verhalten, haben halt mehrere gesagt.
Speicherkarten an gewissen Punkten irgendwie abgegeben werden mussten und man wusste, okay, da kommt jetzt demnächst ein Mensch hin. Und da haben die Leute gesagt, ja, die sind da ja gar nicht mehr alleine, da sind andere Leute noch mit drauf. Das war so der Kritik.
Ja, aber gut, wenn man jetzt mal nach 4 Tagen meine Person sieht, die nur eine kurze Speicherkarte gibt, so, okay. Was geht schon wieder los?
Ja, mega entspannte Aufnahme auf jeden Fall. Nee, aber ich finde auf jeden Fall auch, dass es halt jetzt kein so großer Kritikpunkt ist.
Nein.
Also, weiß ich nicht, was willst du denn sonst machen? Du musst das ja irgendwie sichern, wie Tim auch gerade schon gesagt hat, dann gehen irgendwelche Daten verloren, die sind weg. Und dann bringt es ja im Endeffekt ja auch nichts, wenn du dann über diesen Punkt hinwegschaust, sozusagen. Ne?
Absolut. Also ich kann mir schon vorstellen, dass es so hart eingefleischte Hardcore-Fans gibt, die sagen, nein, die dürfen 7 Tage keinen Kontakt haben und wenn sie sterben, dann sterben sie.
Sollen sie halt sterben, Digga. Die haben da sich ja nicht umsonst entschieden, da mitzumachen. Die haben einen Vertrag unterzeichnet, Digga.
Ja, ich habe ja dafür Geld. Oh, nee, habe ich nicht. Ja.
Stimmt, aber trotzdem.
Mann.
Und ein Punkt war auch
die Influencer von heute, die sind es einfach nicht mehr.
Die trauen sich auch wirklich gar nichts mehr. Und ein Punkt war auch noch, dass es war ein Frauenteam ja dabei, Affe mit, ich weiß jetzt ihren Namen nicht.
Affe
auf Bike heißt die, oder Affe mit Bike?
Kenn ich nicht.
War einfach
okay.
Affe, was
das
Digga? Und die Wildcard-Teilnehmerin sozusagen. Und an deren Spot war wohl in Sichtweite, wenn die ein Stück gelaufen sind, wohl so ein Resort, was die sehen konnten.
Ja.
Was so, keine Ahnung, 500 600 Meter weit weg ist, wo
Boah,
halt
da hätte ich einfach easy Urlaub gemacht.
Digga, ich
während
wäre
der
einfach da
Zeit.
hingegangen, hätte da einfach gechillt. Genau, da haben auch Leute gesagt, ne, auch da war halt dieser Survival-Aspekt nicht mehr gegeben sozusagen. Und ich hatte auch den Eindruck, ich wusste das jetzt gar nicht, dass die Staffel wirklich so gut ankam. Ich glaube
Ja.
auch, dass die ein bisschen weniger Klicks gemacht hat, irgendwie, ehrlich gesagt.
Also, das, was ich, glaube ich, mitbekommen habe, ich weiß nicht, ob das diese Staffel war, aber das war im Vorhinein, wo dieser Experte eingeladen wurde, der wohl mutmaßlich diese eine Frau dann da wohl ein bisschen
Ja,
betatscht
stimmt,
hat.
das war ja auch noch ein
und das war
Skandal.
eine riesige Sache,
Ja,
wo
das
da
war
alle
auch noch
drüber
mal ein
gequatscht
Skandal.
haben, auch
Genau,
Trimax und sonst so.
Genau.
Es war auch super unterhaltsam, der hat sich wohl voll daneben verhalten, haben halt mehrere gesagt,
Ja.
dass er halt einfach zu den Frauen hingegangen ist und dann mit denen getanzt hat, aber so richtig auf unangenehm halt, ne?
Ja,
und dann
ja.
so ein paar Kommentare gemacht hat, so
Ja.
irgendwie bei dem Training, wo die Sachen erklärt wurden, da hat er wohl so, keine Ahnung, er wusste halt schon alles, so er hat halt voll viel auf sich gehalten. So, ne? Also war wohl auch einer mit Expertise, aber keine Ahnung, der hat sich halt voll seine Rolle übertrieben und ist dann rausgeflogen.
Ja, dann kann man es wieder aus, aber ist wahrscheinlich wieder zu heiß.
Durch wen wurde er ersetzt?
Er wurde durch diesen Springer-Typen ersetzt. Digga, ich weiß gar nicht, wie er heißt.
Springer-Typen?
Jan Schlappen hieß er, genau.
Ach, Jan Schlappen.
Genau,
Ja, okay.
genau, der hat
gut.
ihn dann ersetzt und der ist ja dann rausgeflogen, wie du auch schon gesagt hast, ne, weil er eben so sehr überheblich war am
Ja.
Set. Er hat sich irgendwie
Wie hieß denn der Vogel?
Kiesling oder sowas, irgendwas mit Kiesling. Jan Kiesling? Ne, der andere hieß Jan Schlappen, ne? Er ist auf jeden Fall Kiesling, Digga. Hier, warte. Genau, Kiesling steht hier.
Cooler Typ auf jeden Fall, dieser
Kiesling.
Kiesling.
Genau. Nee, ach nee, fast. Er heißt Andreas Kieling.
Kieling.
Was ist deine Meinung zu Andreas Kieling?
Gut, dass du da bist.
Wie fandest du das, den Skandal mit ihm da?
Nee, wo waren wir?
Ja, Andreas Kieling, der...
Ja, scheiße, das ist doch eh Staffel 3. Ich dachte, wir reden über Staffel 4.
Ja, wir haben jetzt gerade nochmal die Kritikpunkte aufgefasst.
Ach so, ja gut, dann habt ihr das noch nämlich gemacht. Ja, sehr schön. Ja,
Und der ein Punkt war jetzt zum Beispiel, da waren wir gerade Andreas Kieling. Also
ja
der
nicht so cool,
weirde
ne?
Typ,
Hat er irgendwie Frauen belästigt und so. Sollte man vielleicht nicht machen. Die Kamera ist wieder aus.
Ja, aber das wird zu heiß.
So,
So, jetzt haben wir quasi die ganzen Kritikpunkte nochmal aufgeräumt. Und ja, ich war dann tatsächlich sogar sehr verwundert, dass es von der Spekulation gibt, dass es eine Staffel 4 geben wird. Ich finde es auf jeden Fall cool, weil ich fand es auf jeden Fall unterhaltsam, selbst wenn es jetzt diese ganzen Kritikpunkte da gab. Und mich hat es unterhalten, ich habe das geschaut, tatsächlich sogar auf Amazon. Und ja, Staffel 4 kam für mich jetzt überraschend. Und was ich aber cooler gefunden hätte, wäre, wenn es da kein offizielles Statement irgendwie zugegeben hätte, sondern wenn einfach jetzt zack, erste Folge und so, fertig.
gut, wahrscheinlich haben die halt Angst, dass da weiter Daten und so ausgewertet werden, ne? Aber irgendwie ein Kritikpunkt war auch, dass man genau wusste, wo die sind schon. Auch wann der Dreh ist und so weiter.
An Staffel 3 meinst du?
Ja,
Ja, genau, deswegen.
ja, und jetzt, deswegen haben die das ja heimlich gedreht, ne? Aber es gab ja wieder Reddit-Leute, die dann Helikopterdaten ausgewertet haben. Dann hat man geguckt, die Location von
Ach, jetzt
Fritz
auch schon?
Meinecke und ein paar andere Leute. War halt Neuseeland, das wurde dann irgendwann ausgestellt. Und ja, also es gab schon sehr viele Punkte, wo man sich schon dachte, okay, das wird jetzt gedreht und wahrscheinlich, damit die Leute vielleicht ein bisschen weniger gucken oder in der Hoffnung, dass es nicht passiert, hat man dann vielleicht jetzt gesagt, so ja, es gibt eine Staffel 4.
Aber die ist ja auch dann schon abgedreht.
Ja, aber anscheinend weiß man nicht, keine Ahnung. Also so ein Typ macht da immer Videos drüber, der meinte, wenn, dann war Fritz maximal 6 Tage draußen, weil der irgendwie also nach 6 Tagen Pause immer bei Social Media irgendwie aktiv gewesen ist.
Boah, das ist schon krass, ne? Wie Leute da so drin sind und ihr ganzes Leben so
das
investieren
ist schon echt heftig, ja.
in solche Dings.
Ja.
Aber auf was für ein Hype die auch diesmal dann verzichtet haben, ne? Weil die wollten ja diesmal einfach nicht, dass die Leute da im Prinzip stehen, ne? Wenn die, also, ne, das ist ja immer das Problem. Also der Vorteil erstmal. Der Vorteil ist, wenn du es vorher ankündigst, dass du es machst, dann haben die Influencer natürlich mehr Promo, weil das ist natürlich eine riesen Promo für ein Let's Hugo oder so oder wer auch immer da mitgemacht hat. Wenn er jetzt bei Seven vs. Wild mitmacht, hast du eine viel größere Aufmerksamkeit. Und deshalb haben da ja viele mitgemacht, vielleicht Sascha Huber oder sonst wer. Ne? Aber dadurch ist jetzt ja, das fällt halt weg, dieser Vorteil, aber dafür hast du halt ein bisschen mehr Privatsphäre, ne? Nach dem Motto. Keine Ahnung, ich würde die Aufmerksamkeit nehmen.
Ja, ich glaube halt,
Scheiße, dass ich abgestochen werde im Wald.
ich glaube halt, diese Aufmerksamkeit gibt es wahrscheinlich dann trotzdem. Ne? Ich meine, wenn
Ja,
es dann,
safe.
wenn es irgendwann dann also es gibt ja trotzdem Videos zu
Ja.
Seven vs. Wild, es gibt dann ja auch jetzt, ich meine, ich glaube, er hat gesagt, es dauert jetzt ein paar Wochen, bis irgendwie wieder Videos dazu kommen, aber dann die Regeln werden erklärt, die Teilnehmer werden gezeigt und ich finde es eigentlich ganz geil, dass es dann eher so in so einem Geheim passiert ist.
Ja, safe.
Einfach weil vielleicht war es wirklich ein großes Problem bei der letzten Staffel mit den ganzen Leaks und man hat geschaut, wer vorher raus ist. Ich weiß nicht, inwiefern die ganzen Leaks damit dann übereingestimmt haben. Es waren ja nur Vermutungen
Das weiß ich
zunächst.
nicht, ich bin da nicht
Ne,
drin.
aber vielleicht war das ja dann auch wirklich mit ein Grund, dass man gesagt hat, okay, jetzt drehen wir das einfach vorab und sagen dazu gar nichts. Aber ich hätte es halt, wie gesagt, krasser gefunden, wenn einfach die erste Folge gekommen wäre irgendwann.
Ja,
weil-
das wäre
weil-
schon
weil-
deutlich
weil es ist ja-
heftiger
weil-
geworden
weil-
aus dem Nix, ja.
Weil es ist ja jetzt offensichtlich vielleicht sogar schon abgedreht.
Ja.
Ja, das heißt, wir können auf jeden Fall gespannt sein. Ne? Seven vs. Wild, Staffel 4.
Ja, aber weiß nicht. Also mich hat das nie so abgeholt, aber wenn das jetzt wirklich so die Teilnehmer sind, finde ich es auch eine sehr langweilige Staffel, oder? So Letzugo, Selfie Sandra, Julia Beautix, Flying Uwe.
Was macht Selfie Sandra für Content außer Selfies?
Die macht einen Podcast mit Luca. Laser Luca.
Ach, dann kenne ich die. Ja, dann weiß ich jetzt, wen du meinst.
Ja, weiß nicht, das sind alles Personen, die mir halt so gar nichts geben. Ne? So vorher hatte man immer so krasse Mainstream-Leute irgendwie, ne? Die auch so, also die auch irgendwie...
heftig, ne?
Also die kennt halt auch jeder, wie sage ich das? So das sind nicht mehr so die krassen Namen, die man irgendwie bekommen hat.
Das waren Trimax. Trimax war letztes Mal dabei.
Also letztes
Trimax, Knossi, Sascha Huber und so, ja. Und jetzt sind halt, also du bist halt jetzt 5 Stufen unter den Teilnehmern des letzten Males, würde ich sagen.
Ja, wenn es halt die Teilnehmer wirklich sind. Auch,
ja,
ne?
das weiß man nicht.
Aber ich sag mal so, man kann ja auf jeden Fall die Leute ausschließen, die ganze Zeit aktiv waren.
Ja.
Aber ich wusste auch gar nicht,
Was wären die Traumteilnehmer für Staffel 5? Das wäre meine lustige Idee.
Kuchen
Also
TV
ich sag
und
jetzt mal Wladimir Klitschko.
Wie
geil wäre das?
Günther Jauch, Digga?
Wladimir Klitschko, Günther Jauch, Doc Felix.
Doc Felix wäre echt crazy,
Doc
Digga.
Felix gerne dort
Bernd
sehen.
Höcke.
Ja.
Ich auch gerne sehen.
Andreas Kiening?
Nee, Teams. Also mit wem würde, also Kuchen TV, du und Alpha Kevin oder du und ich?
Wir beide.
Das wär beides lustig.
Ja.
Weil ach, herrlich. So.
Ja. Naja.
Ja, ich glaube,
Gronk und Commander-Krieger.
ich glaub, viel mehr kann man dazu noch nicht sagen, ne?
Nee, es bleibt auf jeden Fall spannend. Vielleicht jetzt noch die letzte Frage, die wir noch klären können, damit wir auch einen Titel für das Video haben. Denkt ihr, die Staffel wird scheitern? Oder ist Seven Most Wild schon gescheitert?
Ich glaube, also ja, jetzt
du hast ja gerade schon gesagt, findest die Teilnehmer nicht so krass?
Ja, die Teilnehmer, genau, ich wollte gerade sagen, so, ne, wenn das jetzt wirklich die Teilnehmer sind, kann ich mir schon vorstellen, dass dir so ein bisschen diese Reichweite von den ganzen Influencern fehlt, ne? Weil vorher hast du ja nur Leute eigentlich dabei, die halt irgendwie Millionen Menschen erreichen und jetzt hast du halt, ja, so ein Flying Uwe, der ist influencermäßig einfach nicht groß, ne? Selfie Sandra kann ich gar nicht einschätzen, wie die alleinestehend funktioniert.
Nicht so hoch, bestimmt.
Julia Beautix ist eigentlich ganz gut, aber Letzugo ist halt zwar auch gut dabei, aber auch nicht der krasseste, der jetzt Millionen Aufrufe macht, soweit ich weiß, ne? Also...
Ja, aber man muss dazu auch sagen, dass Staffel 1 zum Beispiel ja auch gar nicht durch große Namen getragen wurde. Ne? Aber da war es
was Neues halt. Jetzt kennst halt schon jeder, du hast halt schon alles gesehen.
Staffel 2 war, glaube ich, auch nur Knossi und Sascha, die, gut, und Fritz halt logischerweise, aber die wirklich richtig krasse große Namen waren. Und Staffel 3, gut, das waren ja dann quasi nur Influencer. Wobei das auch ein Kritikpunkt war, dass viele gesagt haben, Digga, jetzt geht es ja gar nicht mehr um Survival, sondern es geht jetzt hier um irgendwelche Influencer. Wobei, ich finde das auch cool, wenn du so unerfahrene Leute hast.
Ja,
safe.
Die bereiten sich ja auch trotzdem
Ich würde auch ein
darauf
neugeborenes Kind da reinschicken für zur Unterhaltung.
Bitte?
Was?
Ja, ich denke, es läuft trotzdem. Ich glaube schon, das Format ist immer noch ziemlich geil. Es hat immer noch eine sehr große Aufmerksamkeit. Also das erste Video, was Fritz da jetzt hochgeladen hat, hat auch schon wieder 700.000 Aufrufe. Ne? Also
meint ihr, das wird wieder so weird, dass man da... Das fand ich auch irgendwie halt schade, ne? Dass halt bei der letzten Staffel war es ja auch so, dass dann die Folgen, glaube ich, eine Woche später oder 2 Wochen später sogar...
Irgendwie so, ja.
Und dann konnten die Streamer auch nicht drauf reagieren und so. Aber du musst es ja eigentlich so machen. Sonst lohnt es sich für Amazon ja gar nicht.
Ja. Ja, mal gucken.
Wobei so ein paar Tage würden, glaube ich, auch schon reichen, ne? Für die Ultra-Fans, die gucken es dann
direkt. Wahrscheinlich würden auch 48 Stunden oder so reichen, ne? Aber die wollen ja alles mitnehmen. Ist ja auch klar.
Wir bleiben gespannt. Schreibt auf jeden Fall eure Meinung jetzt in die Kommentare. Es gibt nicht mehr viel zu sagen, wie Tim sagen würde.
Und wir sehen uns im nächsten Video. Bis dann. Okay, thanks, bye.
Tschüss.
Jo, Freunde der Öffentlich-Rechtlichen. Ich weiß, wenn ich Videos zu Funk mache, dann fühlt ihr euch so. Die Stunde hat, die halt eine Stunde.
Things out, like it's not a need necessarily, right?
Well, a test implies, in this instance, the way I'm using the word, means that you have pass-fail conditions for somebody else's behavior. And if they don't respond to what you're doing in the way that you want, then they fail, and then you're done with them.
So then we just met each other and I say hello and you don't like the way that I say hello to you, that's a test then, and you decide to not like talk to me anymore. By that definition, anything's a test. So I mean, yeah,
sure.
if you want to expand the definition of what a test is, we can certainly do that. But then everything under the sun is test.
Yeah, I'm starting to super mad.
This situation specific, it would be more like if we met and then I stood back to see if you opened the door for me walking into a coffee shop. And I'm like, if you're a traditionalist who thinks that women can't open a door for a man, then I'm done. This is our last date. Or if you were like, I'm gonna see if he'll let me pay for my own bagel. And then if I say no, I insist on paying for you, then you're like, oh, like those could be, I think it's fair to call those tests. They might also be needs. They're also requests. They could come from a very genuine place. But at the same time, it's like, it's not like you actually can't be in a relationship with somebody who insists on paying for your food. It's a conditional thing. It's like, well, this tells me everything I need to know, and so I'm done. That's a test.
Okay, I can not be with somebody who is not willing to, and again, and I also explained this in our last conversation.
You're describing the test now, but you're not really refuting the idea that it is a test.
Yeah, can I just ask you a question? Can I just ask you a question? I think it's important.
Can I finish? Can I finish first?
Yeah, I'll allow it. Go on.
Okay, so in the last conversation we had, when I talked about needing time, one thing that I also specifically said was that when I explain to somebody that I need time, I'm very specific that I like you. This doesn't mean that I am turning you down. I'm very, very interested in you. I want to be at this place with you. I just need some more time. Right? These are very clear signals that I give to somebody. When it comes to, if you're expanding the definition of what a test is to be so broad, what?
I'm not. This is a regularly accepted definition of test.
Okay, I think I can help with this. I genuinely can. Right, Stardust. I've got one question for each of you, okay? So Stardust, why are you so averse to having, this dynamic called a test?
It wasn't even the test part. It was the implication that it was a power play, and that somebody should be entitled to be angry with me for exercising basic boundaries.
You're not
sure. I just don't want to get bogged down in the definition of test because that's boring, right?
Wait.
Sorry, go on, Mister. Sorry, mate. Go on.
Clearly, Stardust, you are averse to calling this a test.
In the way that you mean test, yes.
No, you're not. You're averse to calling it a test in any way. Clearly, you just made this
because
clear.
Of what you mean by a test.
I want to finish. You just said to call this a test, you'd have to call everything a test. There is no statement you could make that is more, this is not appropriate to call a test than that.
Well, what she's saying is
Chud
true,
just
though.
asked you,
basically, everything is kind of a test, right?
So why are you so opposed to calling this a test? You said, well, I'm not. So, okay, so then
it's
is it a test?
specifically the implication that you put towards it.
Well, let's have a little good faith.
When you call something a test, Mr. Girl, you are talking about this. You are talking specifically about this being a power play, or this is like, I'm going to see that is how you described it last conversation.
That's fine. Let's have a little good faith, though. If you think it is a test, but you don't think it's a power play, why don't you just say that?
Because my definition of test, it includes that. My definition of test includes that it is not something that's necessary for your relationship. Whereas for me, I feel like this is something that's very necessary for my relationship.
Do you believe that when I just said I think tests can be necessary? A test can be a need. I said that.
So by your definition.
I said that. Do you think I'm trying to trick you or Trojan horse the idea?
No, I think if that's your definition of test, then sure, we can go by test, but then we've got another issue here, which is your implication that it's a power play, or your not even implication, very specific statement that it's a power play, and also your very specific statement that, oh, men should have a right to be angry with you if you have a boundary like that.
Okay, Max, I wanted to ask you, because you seem very insistent on using this word test. What's the reason you think it's important that it's, defined as a test?
Because it describes how it feels to have it done to you, and it,
I feel like you have
it explains the way, or encapsulates the way that it's not really true that you don't want to have sex. you do want to have sex now, but you don't think it's a good idea.
Your building is complete.
And so there's a second order like decision.
That's an assumption.
Well, I'm basing it off of what you just said. So if you think I'm misinterpreting it, that's fine. But the reason I'm calling it a test to answer Chud's question is there's a second order thing happening. So like if Shaylin says, do you want some ice cream? And I say, no, I've eaten too many calories today. I do want ice cream, but there's another reason I'm saying no, because I'm thinking ahead. And I think test encapsulates the combination of a conditional situation. I want to see how you react, because if you react a certain way, I don't want to be with you. And then also, I'm saying no to sex even though I want to have it, but more than that, I want to be able to say no to sex. So I'm saying no because I want to make sure that the brakes work.
How do I do
before I get on this train?
I mean, that may be the case for other people, again. That may be the case for other women.
This is not.
But that is not the case for me.
This is not. No woman walks around thinking, I like to test men and make power plays. That's not how people don't think of themselves that way. That's how we talk about other people. We never talk about ourselves that way. Like the way you're talking about. No, this
you're
is
still making an assumption.
No, I'm gonna tell you.
What you are making an assumption is about why I have to say that. Why I have to say that is different. There may be people who, like you said, who subconsciously need what you're talking about. But for me, that is not the case.
How would you know if you don't subconsciously need something?
I am not. I'm not saying that I need more time to see a reaction.
How would
from
you
somebody.
know? How do you know you're unsubconscious?
I'm communicating. because I communicate very clearly with my partner.
How do you communicate something you don't know?
I explained it to you earlier in this conversation.
How can you explain something that you yourself don't know?
Okay. So let me explain to you then. I communicate when we reach this area.
I just want to know the answer to this one question.
I specifically say that, hey, I do want to be with you. I am interested in you.
I understand.
Mentally, right now, I am not. Okay, then you get it then. Or what do you not get?
I get your narrative of yourself. But what you just said is, I don't subconsciously do this to test people. And my question is, how would you know that? How can you know your own subconscious?
Well, okay, so I don't do it to. I can't speak on my own subconscious, right?
Great. Okay,
but
well, you
I'm
just
sure
did.
what
So
you're
let's-
saying. I'm sure what you're saying is true for some women, but it is not the case for me because I'm as direct as possible with my partners about this as I can be.
Okay, it is impossible to be direct about your own unconscious motivations because you can't know them. So that is why you'll say something about me like, it seems like Mr. Girl was trying to make me have a negative emotional reaction. You don't think that I am thinking that. You don't think I'm sitting here thinking like, I really got to get a negative emotional reaction out of Stardust. Like I'm so fucked up about this consent thing. I hate women. I hate my mother. I hate Stardust. I'm resentful. I want content. You don't think I'm thinking these things. You think that is an unconscious maneuver I'm making in the conversation, unbeknownst to myself. You think I am unconsciously trying to provoke you. Right? You don't think I'm sitting there thinking. You think I'm consciously trying to upset you.
Yes.
Do you think I'm just? Why are you talking to me?
Wait. I think that's a bit. Listen.
Maybe not right now, but in the previous conversation, 100% you were trying to get a negative reaction.
Why,
yeah.
Okay.
Why would I lie about
moment, okay?
Wait, why would I lie about that?
Your building is complete.
I was fine. I was civil throughout that conversation. You were the one who had an issue throughout that conversation. You were the one who had an attitude problem throughout that conversation. And then you were the one who took every opportunity to twist what I was saying into some sort of power play.
I get why you're saying I was trying to upset you What I don't get is why you think I was consciously trying to upset you, and why I would lie about it now.
I think that you were resentful, and whether that's conscious or subconscious, I can't really say.
Well, you
but
just
you were
did.
very
That is
clearly resentful.
the only point of contention
Okay.
right now.
Let's clear it. Let's clear it. Strike it from the record. Okay. What I can't say whether it was conscious or subconscious, but I do know you were very resentful in that conversation. And as a result of you being resentful, you decided to purposely be antagonistic with me, purposely call something that I'm telling you is not a power move, and telling me it's a power move.
Purposely means consciously. So again, the only reason I mention it is not. I
You
don't.
can purposely be antagonistic while still not knowing the true motives, right?
Okay, that's fine. So the only reason I bring it up is people generally don't think of themselves as behaving badly. They don't think, oh, I'm going to test this person. They don't think, oh, I'm going to rape this person. They don't think, oh, I'm going to manipulate this person. I'm going to interrupt this person. I'm going to not listen to this person. I'm going to try to provoke this. That's not how people think. Right? So when I say that you're testing people, I'm not saying you think you're testing people. And so no explanation of what you're thinking is relevant. Just like if I say, oh no, I wasn't provoking you. Here's what I was thinking. It doesn't matter what I can tell you that I don't think I was provoking you, but I can't tell you I wasn't doing it. Thinking you're doing something is not the same as actually doing something. And thinking you're not doing something is not the same as not doing that thing.
It feels like we should move on from the testing. I don't know if we're going to get anywhere with that, but to me it seems like that is the surface level thing, and there's actually much deeper roots here, like the fact that you felt you were being antagonized on purpose, right? Like that's going to be upsetting in that moment. So what you're saying, Mr. Go, is you weren't intentionally trying to antagonize, but your actions could have antagonized, but you weren't trying to do it in a mean or a harsh way.
I was making an aside to show Stardust that she too, like every other fucking person on the planet, when you say, oh, this person is doing XYZ, you don't mean they think they don't identify as doing XYZ. So when I say you're making a power play, I'm not saying you think you're making a power play. So you explaining like, no, I'm not testing people. I'm really clear about that. Doesn't matter. Describing if you think you're testing people is not the same as talking about whether you're testing them.
Right, but being that clear with somebody, you're laying everything out for them. Like what else is there to be said? There's no power play there when I'm being completely open with why, with what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling a certain way. There's no power play there. It's here's everything for you. Here's all of my shit out in the open for you. And if anything, you know what? You have the right to walk away. That's fine.
I don't think it is possible to do what you're describing. I don't think you can know your own unconscious, and so therefore it's not really possible to define your own behavior for someone else. Like, there's people watching this who agree with you, who think I'm just trying to upset you. I'm an asshole. I'm a rapist, and I just can't stand the idea of a woman saying no to me in friendship or in a relationship or sex or in conversation. That's what they're thinking, right? And no amount of me saying, no, I just explained it. I just laid it all out for you. Why don't you guys get this? That has no effect on what they think of me. My own narrative of myself, there's no way to be like, I'm so open that everything I think about myself should supplant everything you think about me, and I can just tell you what to think about me.
No, I'm not saying that. Sure, I'm not saying that about me as a person, but I'm talking about specifically that interaction. I lay everything out, and if anything, that person has the power to walk away or stay. As far as I don't think you're a rapist, right? I just think that you're an asshole, and I just think that.
But do you think I think I'm an asshole?
First off, I do think you think you're an asshole. Yeah.
No, I don't.
There's no way you don't know you're an asshole, dude.
I don't think I'm an asshole. I think I'm an exceptionally kind and honest and warm person. I think one of the most unique things about me.
That last conversation was really warm, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I was like, hey, are you upset? What's going on with you? I checked in with you like 25 times.
You were being such a fucking prick while you were checking in. Oh, let me push this person. Let me tell them what they're doing is a power play, and then check immediately after. Oh, are you okay? Are you feeling okay? How the fuck am I supposed to react to that?
Since my personality is on trial, I'd like to respond to you. I don't think warm does not mean non-antagonistic. Warm does not mean non-confrontational. Warm doesn't mean I'm going to fucking lie to you to protect your feelings. If we're going to have an honest conversation, there people are watching, right? There's a lot of people watching because they want to see us say honest shit to each other. They want to know what we actually think about this shit. So if I think you're making a power play, I'm going to tell you as your friend, as your colleague, I will tell you I think you're making a power play. I'm not doing that because I'm an asshole.
Okay, so can we acknowledge one thing?
No, I want to finish saying what I'm saying. So yes, when I say I'm warm, I'm saying I am empathetic. I can tell you're upset. I care that you're upset. I'm checking in with you about being upset. I'm opening the floor for you to talk about why you're upset with me. Something 99.99% of streamers will not do. Most streamers would never ever give you the opportunity to tell you in real time, or for you to tell them in real time what you think about what they're doing and how your feelings are hurt, and to check in with you. No, people don't do that. They don't fucking care. They couldn't even have a conversation if they wanted to. So yes, I think I am a kind, honest, warm person. I don't think I'm an asshole.
Okay, so I would just like to. I just want to say one thing, okay? I think we need to acknowledge one thing, okay? Earlier on in this conversation today, Mr. Earl said that him describing it as a test wasn't necessarily describing me. He has now moved, and he is now acknowledging that it is about me. So I would just like everybody to acknowledge that.
No, it's not about what you're thinking of yourself, is what I meant. Yes, I was telling you that I think the way that you interact with men involves a test that I'm familiar with. And what I said to you is, if you wait 4 dates to have sex, that's less of a test than if you wait 40 dates. And I asked you, at some point, you would agree, like, this is ridiculous, right? I said, if you told somebody, I don't have sex till the 50th date, almost everybody would be like, well, I'm out. I don't want to deal with this. And you agreed with that. So then I tried to move it to, the question is, what level of hold your horses there? At what point does it become an acceptable test or an unacceptable test?
I will not be trifled.
Like, I'm not coding what I think of you. I could tell you what I fucking think of you.
I think your definition of test is so broad that you can apply to anything. And yes, with your definition of test, we can call what I said a test. I don't have that definition of test though. To me, a test is not something that's
they just need to agree on what a test is.
Right?
I think Stardust does test. It's fine. She just doesn't like the negative connotation with it.
It's not. It doesn't have real stakes in it when you're testing somebody. When you're testing somebody, you know,
they just need to agree on it is a test and move on.
You're just seeing, right?
No,
but when it's a necessary. Okay, right. I'm telling you my definition, right? I already got your definition. I'm telling you my definition.
I don't think you did.
What my definition is. My definition is that, to me, this is a necessary need in this relationship. It is not a power play. It's here it is, and we'll figure out if it works from there or not. But that's not a test to me. A test is something that is not necessary.
I understand that. I think testing and boundaries and power plays are a necessary part of relationships. The question is, at what point do they, how do they make the other person feel? And do they serve you well? I guess if you're evaluating it, it's a good test. The best way to test if somebody's a good person to have sex with is to just have sex with them. The reason I'm calling it a test is because that poses a risk to you.
Okay, that's not true. There are ways to know if somebody is safe around you before you necessarily have sex. You don't have to be with them to figure out the safe. Other ways for you to ascertain that person. A really simple way might be figuring out if somebody's okay not having sex on a first or second date. That might be a way you test to see if it's safe to have sex with somebody. Another thing might be suggesting a neutral place to meet or a safe place to meet for a first or second date. See if they're okay with it. If they're not, that might be a test. There are ways to test without like having to actually do the thing. Maybe I'm being useful. To be fair to him, he said the best way. No, that's not true. That is not the best. Because best implies a result with a certain trade-off. Like, the best way to know if an airplane will fly is to just fly it, right? I mean, that's kind of true, but there are tests that you can do beforehand, before an airplane ever even gets to the air, before an airplane ever gets to a runway, to see if it'll actually fly or not, right? It's not like you would just go to the most extreme thing. Like, you would take stages. In fact, you'd probably argue that's not the best way. The best way isn't to do the actual thing first, right? He didn't say safe, he said best. Best usually involves safe, you moron. What's the best way to have sex with somebody? Like, the best way to have sex with somebody would be for me to run outside and find the weakest person I can see and get my dick inside of them as quickly as possible. That's the best way. Like, nobody uses best like that. What are you talking about?
Our warriors have engaged the enemy.
So instead of emotionally jumping in and seeing what happens, like dating itself is a test. You don't just move in with the person or marry them. You test them out for a while. But what you're doing is another step removed back from that of like, I feel like something bad might happen if I had sex with you, so we're gonna delay until I get a stronger sense that that's not the case. And everybody does that. But clearly you are doing it more than most people in our age group, right?
Is it time?
The test?
The delay of sex.
Maybe a little bit more.
Because in my experience, since turning 30, pretty much every person I've ever dated is like, well, like we talk for like 2 or 3 hours, and I've decided if I want to have sex with you or not.
Where shall I strike?
So I just want to ask something important here, because I think one other problem is Stardust. It seems like you see like a power move or whatever is a bad thing, but Mr. Girl, you just said you see it as an essential part of a relationship. So there's one issue here that you see it as like Mr. Girl as a morally neutral thing potentially, but Stardust sees it as a bad thing, right? And maybe that's causing the issue.
It's a
power play is intentional. In my head, a power play is intentional.
Okay, I didn't mean. That
and a power play is also unnecessary. Power play is also unnecessary.
I am calling this a power play because I find it annoying.
Oh my god.
Because I think it's unreasonable. But
do you think it's bad?
Yeah.
Unreasonable, yeah.
I think it's bad. Well, I don't think all. Okay, there you could do something.
Unreasonable.
You could do something and then call it something reasonable or something I think is reasonable and still technically make it a power play. The reason I'm using the word power play, yes, it's obviously pejorative,